Storybook Brawl was nice enough to send me some dust codes, so I'm doing another giveaway. Stick around to the end of the video to find out how you can enter to win. What is up, everybody? I'm NoLucksGiven, and today we're going to be taking a look at a Peter Pants game. I haven't actually uploaded a Peter Pants video to the channel for 2 months now. And that was a whole patch ago. That was the beginning of the patch where we got Water Wraith, and there are definitely some more new tools for Peter Pants. And I said in the most recent patch review a month ago that I thought that this patch had some cool new stuff for Peter Pants that I was interested in trying out. And unfortunately, I haven't really found any great games where I've gotten to use any of the new treasures on Peter Pants. So just wanted to deliver something to you guys because we haven't seen one of my favorite heroes in a little bit. And this game, we're going to start by picking up that kitty cup purse, and I picked that up over Cindy. I feel like you generally don't wind up completing the treasure on Cindy because I didn't used to love tier 2 treasures on Peter Pants. Like I said, now I think that tier 2 treasures have a little bit more going for them because you can find the Great Library card or the Potion Master's Cookbook. But I do still really like Kitty Cup Purse because you can pump it up with stags, you can pump it up with evil witches, you can, maybe pump it up with mad mims or something, and then also allow it to pump up like your Queen of Hearts and stuff. Because I generally do tend to go evil units, as some people might not know, because I haven't put out a Peter Pants video. By the way, really awkward combat there. If I had attacked the other Mad Mim, I would have gotten 2 gold and tied the combat, but instead I got 0 gold and lost. Really, really awkward, but super close combat there. You can see only 12% to tie, 1 out of 8 to tie, but it almost happened, and I almost got a bunch of free gold for it. So, unfortunately, I can only pick up one thing from this shop, so I will pick up a stag and a kidnap, and then lock onto 2 reasonable units in this shop, the mummy and the prized pig. I think that both of those can serve us well, and we'll be able to buy them perfectly. We'll be able to buy a little bit more if we are able to slay with the Kitty Cup Purse, but even if we are not, which we are not able to, we will be able to pick up both of those units. So a little bit more damage, down to 26, a little bit unfortunate, and then we steal a tiny from the kidnap. So not super excited about that one. So for here, I'm just going to take the shrink spell and then pick up the prized pig and the mummy and not worry about too much else that's going on. It's a little bit awkward. I guess we will put in the tiny too, but it's a little bit awkward that we can't really, like, if we want to slay with the Kitty Cup Purse, then we're not attacking with the stags. And if we want to attack with the stags, then we're probably not slaying with the Kitty Cup Purse because we'd have that in such a later position. So there's no real way to grab everything that you want. And that's the reason that I generally, like, obviously I understand stag is one of the most powerful tier 3 units. But that's why I don't have it super high on my Peter Pants tier list, which you can still find. It's still pretty accurate, though I think Water Wraith is not on the tier list. We are going to wind up getting that slay with Kitty Cup Purse, so that is pretty nice, but we are up against Geppetto with some sheep. So they've got a pretty strong board against us, and we're going to wind up taking 5 more damage and losing our prized pig, unfortunately. But I'm going to pick up another prized pig and then pick up a triple of stag, and that's going to get us Crystal Ball. So that is both really strong for the board because stag, like I said, is powerful, albeit a little bit awkward. And then we've got the Crystal Ball, which is what we're trying to do on Peter Pan. So I'm going to move things around a little bit here because I do think that I'm not going to work as hard on the Kitty Cup Purse. I just want to sell it and pick up Queen of Hearts because that is a unit that ultimately I am going to want into my comp. So I'm going to have to sell off both of my tier 2 units in order to purchase that. And then I'm just going to have stag as my first unit so that we can guarantee that we're getting that attack and getting some additional stats onto both of these piggies. And who knows, this actually could be enough to win. This is a pretty reasonable power spike, and then we've picked up the Crystal Ball for future turns. So we take out their Sherwood Sure Shot, and that is actually just going to be enough to win the combat, have both of our pigs survive. So 4 extra gold this turn. stuff's looking pretty good. I'll pick up another blind mouse. Not going to pick up the Wizard's Familiar just yet, though it is tempting because we already have the Crystal Ball. But I'm just going to decide to not pick that up. I will backline the Queen of Hearts, though. So I'm thinking if I want to backline the Queen of Hearts, pick up the Kitty Cup Purse. That could work out pretty well. I also pick up Minotaur. Maybe that will be a mistake. Maybe it won't be. A little bit tough to know. But then we see another blind mouse here. So I'm going to pick that up and get our first look at a tier 4 treasure. And told you guys that we were going to be, well, I hinted at maybe looking at some new treasures in this game. And this isn't one that I really thought about on Peter Pants, the Krampus' Sleigh. But it actually opens up a lot for the hero that I didn't really consider. When you are playing all evil Peter Pants, you're typically pretty strong and are pretty likely to win your combats, especially at this stage of the game. So I like my chances to win, and I like my chances against Cursed King of them having a mage-related treasure. And they do. They actually have, I believe that is the cookbook. I'll get the cookbook and the library card confused sometimes. But unfortunately, we don't win the combat. So we don't get to steal the cookbook. But now we're playing up against Potion Master. So maybe we will steal a spell-related treasure from them, and there is still some hope. I'm going to pick up another mummy and our third Wicked Witch, as well as another Queen of Hearts, and all of that will make me considerably stronger on the board. Hopefully enough so that we can win this Krampus' Sleigh and actually steal a mage-related treasure here. So that's kind of the idea. Playing around with this idea of putting 2 Queen of Hearts in the back row, and with that, just putting the Wicked Witch in the front row. But I do still think I want the Prized Pig being my thing that we are pumping up with the Mummy. So I feel like this is a good way to order my board here. But yeah, not really going to be looking at the cookbook in this one or the Great Library card, at least just yet. I won't spoil that, but we are going to be having the Krampus' Sleigh. And we can see this Potion Master a little bit weaker than the Cursed King, and they also have 2 mage-related treasures for us to steal. I'd love to take the cookbook, but we got to take Merlin's hat. That is a pretty easy one there. We do have a Queen of Hearts that we'll be taking now, which is awkward because we don't really need tier 3 treasures at this point, but treasure map could be cool. And there's another blind mouse in the shop too, so maybe we can make something funky happen with this blind mouse triple. I'll want to sell off the blind mouse that is in my hand soon. I think I might realize that eventually at some point and put that or sell that, so that way I can try to triple these blind mouse. But I guess I do not realize it this turn. I'll probably realize it next turn. It's also like you do kind of want the blind mice sometimes because, and I think I'll wind up selling it here, sometimes it's good to have those around just as Mix-a-Wizzle and True Love's Kiss targets. So that's why I hung on to it for a second while we have the Crystal Ball and Merlin's hat going. But now we can complete the treasure on Cindy pretty easily too. That'll get us a look at a tier 4 treasure, and we'll be able to complete Cindy pretty easily with the hat and the ball that we have access to. The interesting thing, like with Peter Pants, and you'll see this is going to come up this turn, you actually really just want tier 4 treasures after you have hat and ball. Forking Rod is the best treasure in the game that you can find. We are going to find another blind mouse, and then we're going to find another chicken. So I'm just going to hope that we're making a triple this turn, and I'm going to pick up the chicken. And I think this is a really interesting move. I knowingly decide to triple the chicken before tripling the blind mouse, and this is to hopefully give us more outs to finding Forking Rod. Now, unfortunately, it's not going to come to fruition. No Forking Rod is going to be found here, so we're going to have to keep looking. And we could potentially look for tier 2 treasures as well, like I've been bringing up. There's some sweet tier 2s that we could find off Cindy, so we're going to take a look at those right now. And unfortunately, none of these are those. We got a bounty board, a fountain, and something else. What was it? Needle nose daggers. Those aren't really going to be it. So we're just going to skip those treasures, and the reason I'm skipping just 2 more gold could be 2 more spells that we could find in those shops while we're rolling. So worth spending our coin rolling there, and this opponent looks pretty strong with their Aeons. They've got a huge Spellweaver in the back. I think we will wind up losing to that. We do have some large range units though, and that is actually enough to get us a tie. So I'll take it. And then we're going to triple up on the mummy. Again, no real tier 3 treasures that we're looking for. It is good to just triple up on your creatures. That way they're a little bit stronger because our opponents are going to start to get stronger. So I'm fine for it from that perspective, but definitely a little bit weird. And then we find a True Love's Kiss. I'm just going to send that onto this monster right here. And that gives us a Heartwood Elder, but nothing too crazy happened in this game. It is just going to be a pretty basic hatball game from this point. And we'll go for one more True Love's Kiss. That gives us a Cupid. Also not terrible, and I have to kind of figure out how I want to order my board with the fact that we've got the Cupid here, and I think throwing the Queen of Hearts back in the back slot is probably the best way to play this. You could switch the Cupid and the Spellweaver though, because the Spellweaver will actually appreciate the additional attack, whereas Cupid, it's almost a downside to have +6 attack on your Cupid, because then maybe Cupid will just kill something. Always depends on what you're playing against, but I think that ultimately this is going to work out the best for us. Opponent with a Medusa, looking a little bit scary, but also the Siren, I think, is going to be a little bit of trouble for us, as that then steals 2 Cupids, and one of those is just going to take out my Spellweaver in the back line, but then Siren steals 2 Spellweavers. So really, really awkward combat. We only wind up taking 7 damage there, but you can see we were likely to lose that one. So that happens. I'll pick up a triple for the Spellweaver, going to go for a Beauty's Influence on Queen of Hearts, and then we get to find another Blind Mouse. Again, no Forking Rod. We could pick up Sky Castle, but like at this point in the game, I don't really think that that is doing anything for us. So again, just going to hang on to this Blind Mouse for a second, with the idea being that that will give us something to triple potentially in the future. So that's kind of the idea there. Or Mix-a-Wizzle is what I meant to say. Mix-a-Wizzle or True Love's Kiss, not triple. Just said the wrong thing. But yeah, we get an Ogre Princess from that, and then we're going to wind up sending our Cupid up the chain, and that becomes a Storm King. And we had some really, really lucky transformations this turn. Not the Puff Puff, that one wasn't the best, but the Storm King and then the Spellweaver off the Shard of the Ice Queen, both really, really fantastic for us. That is going to give us a huge power spike and huge staying power into the rest of this game, because otherwise this might have been looking a little bit tricky. I've talked about this before, but like Forking Rod is what takes you from a 3rd place Peter Pan's game to a 1st place Peter Pan's game, but just randomly getting a Storm King and a bunch of extra Spellweavers, those can also be enough to take you over the top. I'm still going to look for Forking Rod though, and I pick up a Blind Mouse for that, and then we are going to cast the Magic Research on the Sleeping Princess that the Cindy turns into, and that will keep it into a Sleeping Princess. So we'll throw that in here because that'll have a little bit more stats, but that won't untransform because it's effectively, so you can Mix-a-Wizzle something and then True Love's Kiss it, and that will keep it kissed. That'll keep it the level above, and it won't devolve after the Mix-a-Wizzle turn. But the other thing that you can do is other types of transformation. So that's going to include Shard of the Ice Queen, or waking up a Sleeping Princess is not a super common one, but it's worth knowing about. And yeah, pretty sweet in that capacity too. So up against the Ghost this turn, I do think that we will be doing pretty okay. They've got a bunch of Court Wizards though, and they are looking to steal one of our treasures. I guess this is the Cursed King that beat us earlier, but we are back for vengeance here, and their Court Wizards are not going to be able to get through our insanely large Storm King here. So we're doing pretty good when you consider all of that, and I guess we'll just start this turn off with another Shard of the Ice Queen. That is going to give us another Sherwood, or not Sherwood Sure Shot. I always call it Sherwood Sure Shot. Spellweaver. So stuff's going great. We are going to turn our Vampire, that was something else a second ago, we're going to turn that into a Gingerbread Knight, and that's extra big because we are down to 13. So this game's going great, and we'll end the turn off with a free roll, but 3 upgraded Spellweavers in the back. Gotta be feeling pretty good. We take out the Cupid, so we don't have to worry about too much scam, though we do have to battle through this Siren. Though, Siren has got to battle through us, I guess is what I should say, because that is not going to be big enough to take down our Scion of the Storm. And we take Fates out. We are down to the top 3, playing up against Geppetto. Could take another Spellweaver. I'm looking at the fact that if we combine our Wizards familiars, we could still potentially have room for one more unit to play on this board, so yeah, would make sense to throw another Spellweaver in here, but I don't know how much spells I want to commit to the Spellweaver, though when I grab the Storm, or the Wizards familiar, I'm thinking, okay, well now I probably do want to find the space for that. We're going to turn the Sporko into a tiny, and then again end the turn with a free roll and put Scion in, or put Spellweaver in. Apologies, I'm recording this at a different time of the day, and I guess that is making me forget the names of all of the cards right now. But I think that we should be strong enough against Geppetto. This Storm King is just absolutely massive. This turn is currently effectively 5.2, I believe. If we take a look at the experience, I believe that that is what the 4 on there should mean. Let's see. Well, either way, maybe Geppetto's picked up some XP. They've got a lot of upgraded units. I guess the Bear Stain is from the Ambrosia, but then they've also found that Pumpkin. So just going to come down to what's in the Pumpkin, if my opponent can scam me or not. But my backline range units are definitely doing good. Storm King is doing good at staying alive against the other stuff, and they don't have that much in the way of evil units, so we are only going to take 9 down to 4, but we stay alive. And now we are up against Geppetto again, so time to put our money where our mouth is, and we can see how many of those units are potentially like Mix-a-Wizzled or something like that, because this game is, we're going to have to play against them again. The other player died to the ghost, so we're in the finals, and unfortunately I'm just going to wind up rolling down here, so I'll sell my golden chicken, trying to just cast a few more spells on this final turn and get a little bit stronger. But we're not going to find anything here on the final turn, so I'm going to sell the Blind Mouse too. Again, just fishing for anything, not really hoping that the Kidnap steals us anything. I'm just thinking, okay, Kidnap is one more spell. It's +2 attack to everything in the back row. It's +4/+4 on the Storm King, Scion of the Storm, and maybe those stats will be enough to get me there, because we just need something. We just need a little bit of something here. You can see we were 40% to win on the last combat. We'll see what these next odds are, but as predicted, my opponent does not have the Pumpkin anymore. They do have another Bear Stain though, so they are making some really, really ridiculously big summons. They probably should frontline their Hippo at this point in the game, because something like the pigs aren't going to have enough room to spawn in. And you can even see like the Time Flies spawning in the last second. My opponent just didn't have room to play all of the units that they wanted to play. I'm going to wind up sharding the Mummy, which winds up being a little bit risky, a little bit of a mistake. The Mummy is not that big now, but we will be able to Mix-a-Wizzle the other thing, and that turns into a Gumblegore. The Tweedle turns into a Gumblegore, and then we're just going to cast a whole bunch more spells on the Spellweaver. We will be able to cast some Mix-a-Wizzles and things, and this unit has gotten so much worse in this turn. Our board, I think, is actually decreased in power, but if you take a look at the win percentage in the top corner, we are going to have a, or we had a 51% chance to win last turn, and I think there's a chance that might have gone down, but either way, we were 50% to win and then like still 12% to tie, so I'm feeling pretty good about my odds, because I think it's unlikely my opponent increased the power of their board. They did find an Echowood though. Echowood is good. They found an Echowood and dumped the Hippocampus, so that is going to be a much more powerful unit in the back, and quite a large Echowood at that. So this battle is going to get a little bit scary. Luckily though, that attacks into our Scion of the Storm, which is a huge chunk of damage on the Echowood, and then means that we've got enough damage to take it out with our Spellweavers. So pretty sweet game. Not really making too much use of some of the new treasures that I thought were going to be good on Peter Pants, but I think that Krampus's sleigh might secretly be a pretty sweet treasure on Peter Pants. And obviously here we got lucky enough to just find the hat, but sometimes you'll be able to steal interesting treasures that other people have come up with and use that to pretty good effect. Plus, the +5 gold ain't too shabby either. That's going to be it for me today, guys. Thank you very much for watching. Here's the details for my giveaway this week. Just leave a comment below on any of my videos that includes the word treasure. New week, new code word. Shout outs to Patrick Hill for that suggestion, and if you want to leave suggestions for future code word giveaways, feel free to leave that down below. But I also wanted to say one thing: make sure to subscribe subscribe if you want to enter into the giveaway as well. And also probably turn on some type of notification for your messages. What I'm going to do for this video and tomorrow's video is I will leave a comment that says this week's winners and the previous week's winners, and maybe I'll try to get into the habit of doing that. But 3 people still from the first week have not reached out to claim their prizes, and I want to make sure that those get to everybody. If those people never contact me, then I'll re-roll those prizes once we get to like the end of the month. But just so you guys know, just from the volume of the comments, on the first week, I gave out 5 codes, and the second week I'm not sure yet, but I'll probably give away 5 codes just the same. Basically, for every 25 comments rounded up, I'll give away a code is what I think will be a good number for it. So if you guys are commenting a whole bunch, then maybe it'll even be 6 or 7 codes in future weeks. We'll see. Yeah. That's it, and make sure that if you are winning those codes that you follow the instructions that I send to you so that you can figure out how to claim them as well. The reason that I say to include the word, that way I can differentiate between the people just leaving a comment and those that are actually interested in the dust, to make sure that it goes to a person that will appreciate it. And there's no limit to how many times you can enter. You can go back and comment on some of my previous videos. I've been uploading daily Storybook Brawl videos for the past 7 or 8 months at this point, so I'm sure there is some sweet content that you have yet to see. And yeah, you can enter multiple times. I will do a new code next week. And the other thing that I wanted to say is that if a bunch of people enter, I will give away more codes. So that's just going to be limited by how many people are entering and how many people are commenting. Let's get this channel to over 1,000. I'll see you guys next time. Thank you very much for watching. I'm NoLucksGiven. Peace.